This is the BBC. You're joining me, Edwin Floyd, from Broadcasting House, and thank you for letting me into your homes. As soon as I introduce you, we'll hand over to you. Please.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I'm Dr. Longbottom, and your name is?
And I'm Dr. Bendover.
Well, you better live up to your name. And bend over.
That I shall.
Salverson, one hit is all you need.
Right, yes, cut. Good evening. My name is Edwin Floyd. You are joining us live back in the studio. I'm joined by Miss Silk. What is happening in the world?
There's a very hard front coming in from the east. It's going to be cold, dark, extremely wet and windy. You may need to consider when going out, you need to wrap up warm. Wellington boots and probably a flashlight as well, because it's going to be awfully dark and stormy.
You at home, watch out in your kitchens as you look through those kitchen windows. The weather is turning. Thank you, Miss Silk. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Floyd.
Remember, keep up the front. A warning. This is not provided as entertainment for the home viewer. We are talking about venereal disease or khaki fever. This is a serious matter, gentlemen. It will affect you all, I'm sure, or hopefully not. Remember, self-control. You have been provided by the Empire with recreational activities for wholesome experiences, such as a football, dominoes, and cigarettes. Remember, if a young woman approaches you, say, "Stay away, you harlot! Stay away, you harlot!" Lord Kitchener has helped us out and has given us a few words. He says, keep constantly on your guard against excesses. In this new experience, you may find temptations both in wine and women. You must entirely resist both. Remember, flies spread disease, so keep yours closed. Thank you. Good evening once more, viewers. You are joining us back in the studio. Hello, nurse.
Hello.
Hello, nurse.
Hello.
Perhaps you could tell us a bit about your experiences in the war.
Well, we're best friends. We grew up in Oxford together and we went to school together. We decided to be nurses and we went to the Western Front where we met some young men who got shot at and anyway, we looked after them. They're here also.
Excellent.
Carry on.
Madam.
Yeah, sure. So basically what happened was our two blokes over there, a pilot and a lawyer who was serving in the troops, they were in our hospital. We were treating them. And it was very fortunate because before Emma and I left for our nurse practitioner ship, we were in a relationship. And we met these two and we were able to use them as our cover, so that Em and I could continue to secretly date while we were attending to these soldiers.
Right. Well, we hope to see you back in the kitchen soon. We are joined by Captain Skilton, a pilot in the RAF. Hello, sir.
Hello.
A pleasure to meet you.
A pleasure to be here.
Mr. Wheeler. He is with the ministry.
With the ministry?
Exactly. Good evening, Mr. Wheeler.
Charmed, I'm sure.
We are going to ask our friend, Captain Skilton, a few questions from the front. What is your name and rank?
My name is Skilton, and my rank is Captain.
Thank you, Captain Skilton. Is what you do dangerous?
It is extremely dangerous. Planes are a primitive and crude technology. But I'm proud to be doing what I can for my country.
God save the king! Isn't flying a form of witchcraft?
That is an as yet unproven theory, though we remain very cautious, and I wear many talismans should it in fact be some form of satanic devilry.
Very cautious, very cautious.
I see, yes indeed. And Mr. Wheeler,
Yes.
What is your perspective from the ministry?
Well, we think we're doing things well. We're looking ahead, trying to avoid any talk of witchcraft. Of course, there is a worry on the front, but we'll be there. We'll keep it going.
If there's a warrior on the front, we should watch the back. That's what I say. Gentlemen, thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure, Captain Skilton.
A pleasure, sir.
And a pleasure, Mr. Wheeler.
Many thanks.
You have joined us live from the broadcasting studio. Thank you.
Quiet in the studio, please. You already ready on set, Mr. Floyd?
Absolutely, yes. Thank you very much. Most kind.
3, 2, 1, action!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You are now joining us from Studio 2. Mr. Patrick, please, if you will.
Quite right, quite right. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. I was stationed in Marseille, the shipping quarter, and deep undercover as a ONAS operative trying to defect the German war machine. I was in a bar, maybe 11, maybe midnight, and that's where I saw her. Those piercing eyes, the lovely flowing hair, those red lips. I thought, that's my girl. So I walk up to her and I ask, what's a girl like you doing in a place like this? And she says, je ne parle français. And I say, ah, no. But maybe we'll just let our hands do the talking. And thus began the night of many pleasures, until I found out she was an Allied spy. She drugged me. I was taken off to Staffenhausen, but I escaped. Stole a car, ran through the Channel Tunnel, onto a trawler, hitchhiked from Dover, made it back. And so, my friends, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mr. Black,
I'm Mr. Shaw.
and together we are the world's first advertising agency,
Blackshaw.
Blackshaw. Sunlight Soap is our product. It's the best at cleaning all areas, especially where
It reaches the places where the sun don't shine.
happy days for clean people. Enjoy Sunlight Soap.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm joined by Mr. Chandler. He is a local gentleman who frequents a football pitch. You can see by the cut of his jib. He wears a hat inside. This gentleman enjoys football, and therefore he has the football results for you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. These are the results from the Premier League. Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Royal Engineers 0. Old Etonians 2, Clapham Rovers 1. Blackburn Rovers 0, West Bromwich Albion, the Baggies, 3. And the Wednesday 2, Derby County 4. All other matches were rained off.
Thank you, Mr. Chandler. Those were the football results. We'll have some more for you as and when the rain comes back. Thank you.
Nobody else but you.
You join me, Edwin Floyd, in the presence of two women. What, you may ask, are two women doing in our studios here at BBC? Well, I can tell you, this one over here is a doctor. She's a doctor from the front. She has a stethoscope to prove it. This is Dr. Florence. Here we have Lily, who is the owner of an opium den. First of all, Miss Florence.
Doctor.
Doctor, could you please tell us, enchanté, about life on the front line?
I was mainly focused on the treatment of venereal disease.
I see, madam. And were you successful in fighting it?
I do my best, but this lady here has encouraged the spread of it.
Right. Madam, Lily, could you talk to us about the spreading of venereal disease within your opium den?
Well, we try to keep the gentlemen happy. So when their mind starts to escape the horrors on the front, we try to help them escape. And venereal disease might just be a byproduct of that.
I see, but madam, are you aware you are taking our men away from the battlefield?
It's recreation.
Temporary.
Temporary.
But madam, Dr. Florence, surely you are fighting this lily.
I understand the benefits of recreational activity and relieving the stresses of being on the front line.
Ladies, thank you very much. It has been a pleasure to have you on. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 women directly from the front. Now, gentlemen, remember, flies spread disease, so keep yours closed.
Good evening to the BBC and welcome to the weather forecast with Lord Fisher and my lovely wife Lady Fisher.
Good evening.
I will be talking about the weather and my wife will be talking about fashion to wear in the weather.
Over to you, darling, and the map.
The weather in England is going to be hot. What sort of clothes should one wear in hot weather, darling?
Well, according to the latest issue of Vogue, ladies who are due to perspire a lot in the weather should wear something very naturally cotton fabrics and light colours, and should avoid anything that's going to increase the heat on their bodies.
And for those fighting on the eastern front, it's going to be very cold, very icy, very snowy. What should one wear in that sort of weather, darling?
It's got to absolutely be fur, all the way. A fur hat, a fur stole, and a fur coat.
Oh, marvellous, marvellous. And all those tanks in the desert, darling? What does one wear in the desert?
Well, ladies, don't go there. I think this is gentlemen only, wearing as little clothing as is possible.
Absolutely. And I think that is the weather. These poor fellows in the Atlantic, darling, very, very changeable weather. They're windy.
Oh, well, they're out at sea on those terrible cruise ships, aren't they?
Oh, dear, oh.
They need to take some seasickness tablets, that's for sure.
That is the weather forecast from Lord Fisher and my lovely wife, Lady Fisher.
Good night.
Good evening.
You're joining us live from Studio 1 with myself, Edwin Floyd, and my 2 colleagues here. We have with us Sylvester Rugby and Percy Cricket. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello. Hello.
I believe they have some results for us fresh from the field, and not the field of battle. No, gentlemen. A time for us to sit back and relax in the world of sport.
Well, I'd like to report on the cricket, thank you. So it's Surrey versus Middlesex. The game finished 69 not out, rain stopped play. Roger was caught with his leg before, and then it was all over and out.
Thank you, Percy, with the cricket. And now, Sylvester with the rugby.
I can say the Harlequins were given a sound thrashing by the Barbarians after the game. And that is all.
What was the drinking score?
The drinking score was 69.
Ladies and gentlemen, just to state that Sylvester has been suffering since his return from the war. As you can see, he was a former pilot, but since the accident, things have gone a little awry. Sylvester and Percival.
Cricket.
Action!
This is Nurse Jackie, and the name's Grim, but you can call me Mr. Reaper.
So Colonel Geoffrey was plodding through the high-walled trench ducking rifle fire amongst the sticky mud beneath his feet and the crunching bones. Screams and moans emanated from all
my
sides.
Foot. Oh, right in
as
the
bullets
leg.
hit splintering bones and wood.
Awful stuff.
Awful stuff, and that's
Hopefully
pretty
the
much
war will
what
end by
happens,
Christmas.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now it is time for an advertisement.
Yardley Soap, the nation's choice for keeping our boys on the front line clean.
Or perhaps
Yardley Shaving Soap, to help you keep snappy while fighting the baddie.
Very good.
Whichever you choose, remember to have a shave before you meet the Hun.
The weather, this is Peter Allen reporting. I just want to say after a very warm spell, we're now heading up for a very cold spell, which will probably then affect our troops in front. The weather coming from over the equator there, coming into England and over. So I think if you're going out, you need to wrap up very warm and perhaps take an umbrella with you. Thank you, good evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're fortunate to be joining me back here in Studio 1. I am joined by Miss Valentita. She is a woman, yes, but more, she is also a musician, yes. Tell me, Madam Valentita, what is it that you play?
I play violin, sir.
She plays violins. What else do you play?
Piano as well.
Very adept. Madam,
Yes.
how do you think your music can help the war?
I think I can encourage the soldiers go forward and fight for what they believe.
With a rousing song, perhaps?
Yes, encouraging, you know, uplifting them and, you know, giving spirit, spirit.
Is it tough getting away from the kitchen enough to be able to do your music?
I'm not in the kitchen. I'm abandoning kitchen. I'm a musician. I'm a free spirit. I normally create day and night, and I don't need kitchen.
The war has changed many things. Indeed, the woman sat behind this desk here is also wearing trousers. But more on that later. Miss Valentita,
yes.
It has been an absolute pleasure.
Pleasure for me too. Good luck for our soldiers.
Today we are presenting the world's brightest soap for the world's brightest people. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yes, especially in these dark times, you might want to brighten up your day, and look at that, just a beautiful face. And yes, tell me about the £1,000 reward.
If you use Sunlight Soap, you get a reward.
But yes, we are not quite sure how you submit that reward, but
I think you wash.
You wash it, yes.
Yes, I think you wash with it.
So yes, there we go. The world's brightest soap for the world's brightest people.
Who wants some sunlight today?
Sunlight today.
Sunlight today.
Sunlight today.
Sunlight tomorrow.
Sunlight today. Yes.
Sunlight every day.
And every night.
Every day and every night.
Every morning and every day.
Just wash, wash, wash with the Sunlight Soap.
Otherwise, nope.
Otherwise you'll get very, very dirty.
Sunlight Soap.
Sunlight Soap. Sunlight Soap.
Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. You're joining me live in Studio 1 with the famous duet Wat and Hunt. They are going to be singing for us live this evening from the studio to you on the front line. Something to scare away the wretched Hun. God save the King. And now, time for Pack Up Your Troubles. Ladies.
Pack up your troubles in your old kit bag and smile, smile, smile. While you're Lucifer to light your fag, smile, boys, that's the style. What's the use of worrying? It never was worthwhile. So pack up your troubles in your old kit bag and smile, smile, smile.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Watt and Miss Hunt. Their record will be out on vinyl soon. We are joined now by two people. This is Captain Tommy, direct from the front line. And this is Miss Joanne. We'll say no more about that. Now, first of all, Mr. Tommy, could you please describe your experiences on the front line in your plane?
Yes, so there I was, the front line as me, and I was flying like this. All of a sudden, German right up my arse.
The Hun.
The Hun. And plane came down, German came over. I was stranded in no man's land for weeks.
A horrific tale there from Captain Tommy, a very brave pilot in the RAF. And now, to a harlot, Miss Joan.
Yes, hello.
Could you tell us, how has your work fluctuated during the war?
Well, I've got to tell you, there I was, going along, and then there was a German, and...
Yes.
Well, need I say more?
And ladies and gentlemen, that is how venereal disease is spread.
How dare you?
Remember, flies up, gentlemen, flies up. We have some exceptional entertainment for you now. I am joined by Captain Mannering and Miss Gerald. And they have decided to come along to really jazz things up in the studio for you boys on the front line.
It's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know. It's a long way to Tipperary. And my what's that called? It's a long way to Tipperary.
We've quite...
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we can only describe that as piercing. It has pierced some waves across the channel to our boys on the front line, and it has pierced a few other things for us here in the studio. Captain Mannering and Miss Gerald, thank you very much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to BBC News. Today, our guest is Mr. Peter Rodwell. He'll tell us something about the war situation.
Well, initially, those cowardly French just seemed to wave the white flag and give up, saying, no, don't hurt Paris. But it does seem that the resistance over there are finally pulling their finger out and doing their part for the war. So they're helping to battle back the Jerrys in the smaller towns, and the Americans, who up until now, let's face it, have been pretty useless, seem to have taken Pearl Harbor fairly personally.
Thank you very much.
Very welcome. And remember, we're British.
You are joining us once more in Studio One, and I am pleased to announce that I am in the presence of two women. Now, these ladies are going to sing a song for us, entitled A Long Way to Tipperary. So, ladies, please, if you will.
It's a long way to Tipperary, it's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know. Goodbye to Piccadilly, farewell Leicester Square. It's a long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there.
Congratulations, ladies. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you for having us.
Congratulations, Miss MacDonald, and congratulations to you, my dear, as well, our
Thank you
seamstress
very
parachutist. Excellent work there from the front line. Thank you. I'm joined now by Captain and Lady Spencer. Captain Spencer, Lady Spencer. These two are showing dedication and spirit for the wartime and showing us what even people with big houses have to give up. So, tell us, Lady Spencer, how has the war affected you?
Well, they've requisitioned the manor, and it's full of army men in various states of undress.
Good God, madam.
I
Do
know
you
it's-
have no servants left?
Well, there are a few, but most of them have gone off to war.
A terrible plight for a woman.
It is. Nice to have all the men around.
Enough of that, please, Lady Spencer. Now, Captain Spencer.
Yes.
Sir, we can see that you've obviously been on the front line there.
I have indeed.
How are you feeling?
I feel absolutely fine. I was there for just one day.
Good God.
Received a knock on the head and was sent back, but I feel absolutely fine. I think I should be going back very soon.
So, Captain Spencer is hoping to go back soon to fight that dastardly Hun. God save the King! Do you feel happy as you walk along the streets and see other men wearing the King's uniform? Number 3. What will you say in years to come when people ask you, where did you serve in the Great War? Number 4. What will you answer when your children grow up and say, Father, why weren't you a soldier? Number 5. What would happen to the empire if every man stayed at home like you? Your king and country need you. Enlist today. God save the king!
Buonasera, I am Anthony Bavarco from Italy. This is my friend Jennifer Angel from... where are you from?
I come originally from Kent, in fact, in Britain, yes.
We met on the boat and we make a play.
Yes, and we come to London with the play, and we've also been going about and watching all the other wonderful performances that there are to lift the spirits of everyone during this terrible time.
Yes, I'm also here to do the play, but also to get out of Italy because it's very messy at the moment, very messy. So I'm here with my friend Jennifer, and we do fabulous things.
Yeah, so perhaps we should tell everyone to come on down to the Drury Lane Theatre.
Yes.
And come and see what's going on down there. It'll be fun. Good night.
Is that it? Are we done?
Thank you and welcome to the shipping forecast for November the 7th, 1918 at 000 GMT.
Dogging 696, palpable, rising firmly.
The German Hun bite 7 times 10 to the power of 15. Evil, withering later.
The clap 0.2. Warty, increasingly itchy.
Fairy 1024. Magical, becoming fleeting.
Fred Astaire 27. Tapping.
Venereal disease 69. Itchy, soon contagious.
Now all please rise for God Save the King. God save our King. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you at a loss as to what to get you to welcome your hero with upon his return from the trenches?
Post-traumatic stress disorder can lead to memory loss.
Has he forgotten who he is?
Has he forgotten that he loves you?
Has he been addressing you by another name?
In the throes of passion.
Well, we here at the National Institute for Experimental Therapeutics have the perfect remedy. Salvarsan, which contains arsenic, so might cause vomiting, internal bleeding, severe abdominal pain, and gruesome death.
Thank you, Petty Officer Peg.
Hello, sailor.
Is there any more?
Oh yes,
There's
more to come.
It's been a tough week. I hope this letter in a bottle finds you well. I'd written this and changed overboard. I'm marooned on a desert island surrounded by seamen. The cruising didn't go to plan. We were shot down by the Germans.
Shit.
And almost drowned.
You in the flying boat?
Who needed her?
SOS, send more rum.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And we can see that Petty Officer Peg is fresh from the sea, as he is still covered in their salty spray. It's time for a bit of product placement with Byron and Gwyneth.
Good evening, viewers.
Good evening. There are some things money can't buy, but for everything else, there's Yardley shaving soap.
Maybe he's born with it,
Or maybe it's Yardley shaving soap.
because he's worth it.
It's the best a man can get.
Just
so
do
just do it. Buy Yardley shaving soap.
Well, if that doesn't get our boys on the front there with a clean face, I don't know what will. Thank you, Byron, and thank you, Gwyneth.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Edward. Thank you for the kind introduction as well. Well, luckily I met Nurse Morris here after I had a fateful accident representing the country. I was flying just north of Brennan, actually, in northern Germany. Luckily I escaped and I was brought back to the home front at that point, where fortunately I was brought back into the arms of Nurse Morris, who, well...
Well, when I met Mr. McGinley, it was just his face immediately looked so forlorn and so just devastated by what he'd been through. And so I just had this immediate connection, and I knew I had to nurse him back to full health. And I did everything that I could, all day, all night, for weeks on end. I nursed him, and we both live to tell the tale. And now we are married with our first child on the way.
Ah, that's the
Indeed.
spirit, yes. Good to
Indeed.
get marriage in there.
Indeed.
Please.
Well, Annie, I mean, it's a story of hope, and it's a story of what the home front is all about: passion, determination, and we will not only fight to the end, but the country, as we have seen, has fought to the end, and we are proud now to stand here with yourself and be proud English people.
Thank you, Captain McGinley, and thank you, Nurse Morris. This proves that love can still happen despite venereal disease. Yes, Remember, gentlemen, if you're on the front, say no. No, young woman. I do not know you. We are not married yet.
Action! And now for the weather. The weather forecast courtesy of the British Meteorological Office for the following day. The current temperature in London is 55 degrees Fahrenheit, and tonight the temperature is expected to drop to 40 degrees, so if you're about town, please take a coat and hat. With reports from the front, the weather is dry, so our boys are not getting wet.
Hola, yo soy Luis, el reportero de España, y ahora traducimos para los televidentes de España. El tiempo, cortesía de la Agencia Meteorológica Británica, será unos 55 grados Fahrenheit en la ciudad. Y se espera que por la noche la temperatura baje unos 40 grados. Así que tengan a mano sus abrigos y sus bufandas. Tenemos noticias que en el frente de batalla el tiempo será caluroso. Así que chicos, hidrátense y cuidado.
Ya está. Thank you very much.
Hello and welcome to the local news segment where we bring all that is local and relevant to a minority of people to the big screen. My name is Hannah Cox.
And my name is Martin Murphy. Local man Percy is alleged to have a pet.
Astounding. Local WI member Mary Putney has been noted to only be putting her washing out fortnightly.
Sickening. A banana has been spotted outside Dewhurst Butcher's shop. Eyewitnesses suggest it has been placed there by a man from Stoke.
I think we'll all be changing our locks following that announcement. Margaret Horsworthy, recently banned from the Westminster Knitting Group, has been spotted hand in hand with Milkman Joe.
A real shame for Margaret's mother, who was a local entertainer and gave so much pleasure in so many fields. And once behind the greengrocers.
Poor. This has been local news. Tighten your hairnets, pull up your bloomers, and love your country. Thank you very much.
One, go, action!
Good morning, comrades. This is Mr. Barrage and Miss Belishka with the weather.
Do not worry about the weather this afternoon. Why? Because you're British and we love our king. When you're walking the highway of life, or the Northern Line, remember, come rain or shine, we shall defeat our shadows and delight our mothers.
But when the clouds are black and your brow is wet, do not wear a white coat. Not because the enemy will think you are a doctor. No, no, no. But because they may think you're surrendering, or French. God bless you all, and may God save our king. Good evening.
I'm joined by Miss Karenina and Mr. Pleasant. Now, Miss Karenina is an interpreter. Yes, that means she's able to interpret the exact words of Mr. Pleasant here, for he is not a man, well, that we know too much about. He has two sides to him, if you understand my meaning. Perhaps you could tell us more.
Yes, Mr. Pleasant, can you tell us more?
Yes, of course. Ich kann ein bisschen mehr erzählen, denn eigentlich I worked the whole time for Germany, die andere Seite,
The other side, the other side.
And I decided today, dass ich nach England komme.
He wants to kind of tell the world his truth.
I think wir gewinnen den Krieg. Win the war, is it this?
Who, the Germans or the British?
The Germans. No, the British, of course.
So yes, the British will win the war, obviously. So he wants to be on the winning side.
Yeah, on the winner's side. Exactly.
Well, thank you, Mr. Pleasant, and thank you, Miss Karenina.
God save the Queen.
God save the king!
The king.
The king,
yes,
of course.
And
yeah.
thank you, that's absolutely right. We'll get that filthy Hun. We are joined by Miss Peerless with Pack Up Your Troubles in Your Old Kit Bag. Thank you, Miss Peerless.
Thank you. Pack up your troubles in your old kit bag and smile, 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 while you've a Lucifer to light your fag. Smile, boys, that's the style. What's the use of worrying, it never was worthwhile. Pack up your troubles in your old kit bag and smile, smile, smile. Keep smiling, boys. Thank you.
This Frenchman has decided to tell us, the great British Empire, about deportment and elocution, no less.
It is a topic I am familiar with, in fact.
So, let us hand over to Mr. Marseille without further ado, audience.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for my kind introduction. During these awful times of war, of course, there are many awful things happening, but I still think it is very important to have an excellent sense of deportment and, of course, elocution in how one presents oneself. And for the gentlemen about town, of which there are many, I have 3 very important tips for you. The first one, if you want to have an air of high deportment and, of course, bien sûr, elocution, is never wear brown in town. For this evening, of course, we have brown, but we are in a very nice establishment. Around town on the street, it is a very low-grade